bullying,
the Me Too movement against sexual harassment.
Toxic masculinity.
Is this the best a man can get? Is it? We can't hide from it.
Sexual harassment is taking over.
It's been going on far too long. We can't laugh it off.
Who's the daddy?
What I actually think she's trying to say.
Making the same old excuses.
Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys.
But something finally changed.
Allegations regarding sexual assault and sexual harassment.
But she says he's
And there will be no going back. Because we believe in the best in men.
Men need to hold other men accountable.
Smile, sweetie. Come on.
To say the right thing. To act the right way.
Bro, not cool, not cool.
Some already are. In ways big
Yo, men,
and small.
I am strong.
But some is not enough.
Is that how we treat each other, okay? Okay.
Because the boys watching today will be the men of tomorrow.
If you have an idea that you genuinely think is good, don't let some idiot talk you out of it. We had already done the Fantastic Four and I think maybe the X-Men, I can't remember the order, but my publisher came to me and he said, Stan, I want you to come up with another superhero. So I said, okay, I went home, and when my publisher said do something, I'd better do it because I wanted to keep my job. I thought, what can I come up with now? And the most important thing in a superhero at first is the superpower. Once you get that, everything else comes along. So I thought, what power will I give a new guy? And I saw a fly crawling on the wall. And I said, hey, if I could get a superhero that could stick to walls and crawl on them, man, that would be cool. So I thought that was good. Now I needed a name. So I said, well, let's see, Fly Man, Mosquito Man. I got down to Spider-Man. Spider-Man. It just sounded dramatic. So, okay, I had my hero, I had his power, his name, and then I figured just for fun, I'm going to give him personal problems. Because except for you people who are that your lives are perfect, but most other people have personal problems. And then I thought I'd make him a teenager, because there were no teenage superheroes that I knew of at the time. So armed with all that wonderful material, those great ideas, I ran into my publisher's office and I told him. This was my reaction, the reaction he gave me. Stan, that is the worst idea I have ever heard. First of all, and he started to give me his, because he's a very logical man, very intellectual. First of all, people hate spiders, so you can't call a hero Spider-Man. You want him to be a teenager? Teenagers can only be sidekicks. And you want him to have personal problems? Stan, don't you know what a superhero is? They don't have personal problems. Well, I left the office disappointed, but obviously a much wiser man. And I couldn't get Spider-Man out of my system. So we were about to kill a magazine. I think it was called Amazing Fantasy. It wasn't selling well, and we were sending the last issue to press. When you do the last issue of a magazine, nobody cares what you put in it because the book is dying. Just to get it out of my system, I put Spider-Man in Amazing Fantasy, feature him on the cover, forgot about it. A month later, all the sales figures came in. My publisher came racing into my office. Stan, you remember that character we both loved so much, Spider-Man? Let's do him as a series. Now, why am I telling you this? Besides the fact that I have to kill a little time. If you have an idea that you genuinely think is good, don't let some idiot talk you out of it. Now, that doesn't mean that every wild notion you come up with is going to be genius, but if there is something that you feel is good, something you want to do, something that means something to you, try to do it. Because I think you can only do your best work if you're doing what you want to do, and if you're doing it the way you think it should be done. Just do your thing, do it as well as you, that's the important thing. Don't shirk. Whatever you do, give it your best shot. You'll be glad you did. Exactly.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. I can hear myself. I mean,
you can okay. First of all, before we start, not really. You're quite okay. I have a few things I just want to clarify. Gillette did not sponsor us. Okay.
but we were sponsored by Stan Lee. I'm just gonna say it. We voluntarily sponsored him.
Gillette did not sponsor us. It's just that the video is just too cool. Nina decided to put it up, right?
I loved it. I thought it demonstrated leadership because they went against their own tagline. If you think about it, instead of the best a man can get, the best a man can be, because it was so timely. It was what was required during this time, kind of thing. So I thought it was amazing, mind blown, brought tears to my eyes. Anyway, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Popcorn's Just Langa podcast show. We are on our 49th episode. One more episode to the middle mark of 50 episodes. Welcome, LinkedIn family, YouTube family, and Facebook family. We're so glad you guys could join us. If you're joining us for the first time, Just Langa is where we cover the latest on social media, entrepreneurship, content creation, and tech to help you guys position yourselves as business influencers on social media. Now, in other words, we are building Southeast Asia's business influencers to help you guys position your authority, impact, and income. So if this is something that excites you, you are definitely at the right place. Now, how many of you guys are online? I can see your name. We've got Matthew, Pauline, and the rest of you. Don't be shy. Say hello so we know who's online, yeah? You know the drill. If you are the usual popcoon, type in popcoon. I don't know why, but our people love calling themselves popcoon. Or if you're a newbie, just type in newbie. We'd love to get to know you guys better, right? Now, what is tonight's episode about? Do you know what we're going to be talking about?
I know that it's going to be like about leadership stuff, right? That's what you told me.
Yeah. Okay. So the title of today's episode is Strategies for Leaders on How to Uncover Your Purpose, Heal, and Share Your Gifts with the World. So what do you think, Amin?
Hey, you want to become business influencer, you need to sharpen out your leadership skill. That's it. Fundamental.
Okay. Yeah,
that's
but you know what's interesting about today's episode? It's because in between the purpose and sharing the gift, there's a heal word there. And I'm like, what?
That's the reason why you wanted this session tonight, right? The healing part.
No, actually, I saw leadership and stuff like that. And then I was doing everything. It was only today that I realized the heal word was in between. Okay, so I was like, what is that?
Right.
So I've got a good feeling about this kind of thing. And another thing is uncovering your purpose. That's a tough one. I took forever to find mine, right? And everybody said, you got to find your purpose. You got to find your purpose. It's easier said than done. So we're going to sort that out today just for you guys. Do you know your purpose, Amin?
I think so.
Okay,
maybe tonight I'll get more clearer.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. So tonight's episode is going to be a special one. So get ready, get seated, because Strategies for Leaders on How to Uncover Your Purpose, Heal, and Share Your Gifts with the World is happening right now on Just Langa. So if you think this topic is going to be so useful to you, your family members, your friends, tag them on Tag them in the show and share it out so that as many people as possible will be able to benefit from tonight. Okay, now
Exactly.
do it now. Okay, so speaking of learning, let's take a quick look at what's happening in the popcorn verse. Yeah, we're gonna do this very quickly because we don't have a lot of time with our speaker today, so I want to get as much time as possible. Now, if this is your first time tuning into Popcorn, we don't just have our weekly Just Langa show, which is this one every Thursday night, but we also build Southeast Asia's business influencers. So for that, we have a special Facebook group where we go live every Monday at 8:30 p.m. Malaysia time. That's GMT +8, where we teach people how to build your authority and how to have a profitable business through LinkedIn. So in other words, every Thursday we have the Just Langa show, and every Monday we go live here in this Facebook group where we do trainings on how you can position yourself to be the authority in your industry. So on 12 April, we've got a secret client. It's no longer a secret. Tila is actually going to share how, this is what she says, how she rose like a phoenix from the ashes after the world fell apart after she joined Popcorn. Now, what is that? I only know Harry Potter, but according to her, that's her journey. So I am excited to find out. I kind of know anyway. 15 April, Geeta Kandaya is back. She's an ASEAN intellectual property expert, and we're going to be talking about copying from the internet. Are you doing it? Especially if we're creating content on a daily basis, and especially if you're sharing like Gillette or Stanley's video. Am I going to get in trouble? I don't know. I'll find out next week. You might want to come in and find out too. 19th April, back to the trainings. Why LinkedIn? Why now? It's no longer a resume dumping site. And you know, LinkedIn has a lot of bad reputation. People think it's boring. There's a lot of changes happening. So you want to learn that, you want to come in on 19th April. On 22nd, we've got Share and Go, digital transformation, branding, and the future of e-commerce. That's exciting because I have no clue about e-commerce. On the 26th of April, we're going to be sharing about 3 simple ways to get your leads to convert, meaning how do you get sales from LinkedIn? And no, we're not talking about the spamming sort, okay? And on
Stop doing that, guys.
Stop it. Unless you want me to come over and slap you, then yeah, okay, do it. Okay, on 29th April, we've got Mariana Pascal, and this is somebody I've been waiting for. She's got a message about, she's an intercultural communication specialist, and she's going to be sharing about the art of not caring what others think, even about your English. Or as Malaysians say it, on this side of the earth, we go England, even about your England, okay? So loads of amazing stuff happening. If you're loving what you hear, you want to be kept up to date, then you definitely want to join us, kind of thing.
Exactly. Yep. Join us, guys. Come and join us.
Yeah, join the movement.
Join the movement, right?
Okay, so we're about to drop you some unconditional leadership strategies. So if you guys are ready, then let's just lug out with it. Intro video.
Popcorn.
Hey guys, welcome back to Popcorn. I'm Nina.
This is our 49th show, and I'm Amin. Good to be back. One more show to 50. One more.
Woo! All right, one more. Okay, we build Southeast Asia's business influencers by building your authority, impact, and income on social media. So welcome. Tonight, we're going to be talking about strategies for leaders on how to uncover your purpose, heal, and share your gifts with the world. So our guest tonight is a top advisor, global mindset expert, and an executive leadership strategist who helps leaders and business owners get unstuck, live balanced lives, and build the business of their wildest dreams. She's a certified CMHA psychological health and safety advisor, NLP practitioner, mental health expert, executive coach, professional speaker, best-selling author. She's also a director on various nonprofit boards, both locally and internationally. She's a member of the International Society for Female Professionals, founder of the Global Lead to Impact Summit, co-founder of a corporate wellness program, and has been featured in top media outlets including USA Today, CBC, iHeartRadio in New York, Fox, The Globe, Mail, and NBC. Now, she's also the author of 5-star books, Uncover Your Purpose, Heal and Share Your Gifts with the World, which is what we're going to be talking about today, as well as Love is a Guide to the Power of Love, and co-author of Cracking the Rich Code, Volume 4 with Kevin Harrington, hit star of the TV show Shark Tank, and business icon Jim Britt. Now, ladies and gentlemen, she is truly passionate about being an impactful leader, mother to 4 beautiful children, and friend who makes a positive difference in our world through taking bold action in sharing her wisdom, God-given gifts, and serving others with loving kindness and bringing hope to all she encounters. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for none other than Executive Leadership Strategist Advisor, Global Mindset Expert, CEO, and Chair Founder of the Global Lead to Impact Summit, Nadene Joy. Woo!
Whoa. I forgot the clap today. Okay. There you go.
There you go, Nadene. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for that impeccable introduction, Nina. It's great to be here.
Woohoo! All right, thank you. We're actually super honored to have you. We've got so many questions, so definitely we're excited to learn from you. And our people are like kind of saying, I can't wait to hear what you're sharing. Okay, now let's start with the basics. Let's talk a little bit about you, Nadene. Can you share with us how you got started? What were you doing before all this, and how did you ended up to do what you're doing now? Because I understand that you graduated, taught the class in geology. Worked as an exploration geologist for 9 years before, doing parenting coach and now leadership coaching, right? So how did you start?
Yeah, I get asked that question a lot because you think of a geologist, you think of somebody who's doing coaching as something almost exactly opposite. So yeah, I was a geologist. I worked as an exploration geologist for 9 years and worked my way up the top of the ladder. I basically had everything I could have ever wanted, and all the lists, the checklist. Sometimes we make that checklist of things we want. Some people call it a bucket list. Some people just have certain aspirations and goals they want to achieve. I had this list of certain things that I wanted to achieve in my entire life. And by age 25, I had checked off almost all of these boxes on my list. And I'd worked my way up the corporate ladder. And over time, I actually got very sick. And I ended up waking up one morning very sick, and I couldn't go back to work. So I was 28 years old, and I was forced to retire my career as a professional geologist. And this is what spurred it was my worst rock bottom moment that I had in my life, but also my greatest blessing, because it allowed me to come back to who I am and who I've always been, which is somebody that has always been and had a huge passion and mission and purpose to really transform lives, make a difference in lives from the time as far back as I can remember, even at 4 years old. I just really wanted to help people and make a difference. So this opportunity of, getting sick and not working as a geologist turned out to be a big blessing, because I started it was a process, and we'll talk more about that throughout the show, but it was a process of trying to come back to who I really was, and, come out of the whole idea and the facade of, learning to relive the way I lived my life and the way I did business based on external circumstances versus intrinsic motivation from within. And yeah, I couldn't be happier doing what I'm doing now and working with clients all around the world.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, it's usually, we have to wait for SHIT to happen, or the worst possible thing to happen, before we realize, wait a minute, this is one of the best things that's ever happened to me. But of course, when you're in there, you're like, why, God, why, right? So how long did you take to kind of transition or to kind of switch? Did it take you some time?
Yeah, it wasn't something that just happened overnight, that's for sure. It was probably about a year and a half, to be honest.
That's pretty fast, actually. A year and a half is amazing.
Yeah, and it was a journey. It was one step at a time, one foot in front of the other, one thing at a time that would come up that I need to deal with this. And it was things that were coming up that I never really looked at and never really thought about, because I was so busy working. I was a workaholic. I was a perfectionist. I worked 24/7. I was on call, supervising drilling operations that we were doing within our organization. And I didn't take time for myself to just be. I just focused on doing versus being. And I lost my sense of who I was in that process. So learned a lot about just, taking some time for myself and making sure I had balance in my life versus working all the time was one of the greatest lessons that I could have ever asked for. And also creating some other things that we'll talk more about, like a morning routine and various other things. Yes.
Sounds good. Okay. So today, just to have everybody on the same page, what do you do today, and how do you work with your clients, and who are your clients? I mean, what kind of people do you normally take in as clients?
Yeah. So today I work as an executive leadership advisor. I also am a coach. I do lots of life coaching, business coaching, leadership training, helping businesses with their startups. I also help work with leaders. And when I say leaders, I believe anyone is a leader. You don't have to be a CEO of an organization to be a leader. If you're impacting, if you're working with people in any way, shape, or form, in my eyes, you're a leader. You are making a difference in our world. So helping anybody, most of the clients I work with are in their middle ages. middle age of life where sometimes they feel stuck, like they want more out of life. They might be working in a job where they're not necessarily happy and looking for something more fulfilling, that where they can actually go out and, at the end of the day, feel like they've done something good in the world.
That sounds like the whole of Asia, because we're brought up to live our parents' dream. We never had a dream, right? I mean, we're basically told, oh, you're a doctor, you're an engineer, you're this, So
yeah, it's an Asian thing.
Yeah, and then we got to crash to learn.
Yeah,
it's something we got to relearn, and it takes time.
Yeah, it is.
That's the way I was brought up too, right? You do this.
Yeah.
There's opportunities here. This is a very good job, quote unquote good job, the way society sees it. So it's a matter of how do we switch from what society looks at us and views us to how we view ourselves and what makes us happy and what brings us joy and brings us, this sense of fulfillment and meaningful purpose in our life.
Mm-hmm. What is it that in working with your clients, what is it that a lot of leaders or people still don't get about themselves or what they do or how you can help them, that it doesn't occur to us?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I get asked that quite often about our past, actually. How does our past affect the way we show up as leaders right now? So lots of times, most leaders don't recognize how they were brought up, and especially from ages 0 to 7 years old, and how that impacts the way, it sets the neurological physiology of how we show up in the world, the brain, the connections between the dendrites, axons, neurons in our body, and how that sets the stage for not only in childhood, but how we show up as leaders. And most times there's so much more potential than what leaders even realize are within them that they haven't even began to tap yet. So I would say there's so many to choose from, but if I were to pick one, that would be the biggest thing. Absolutely.
Wow.
100%.
Okay. So we don't really know ourselves and the things that happen which is actually stopping us from getting everything we could ever want for in life, right?
Exactly.
Limiting beliefs,
Stuck. It's like this imaginary wall that's between us and this dream life that we want to live and we feel fulfilled in each moment.
All right. So let's get straight into today's topic, uncovering your purpose, heal, and share your gifts with the world. Can you share with us what you mean by this? Because you wrote like a whole book on this. So please, I don't think we'll be able to cover everything, but do let us know what you mean by this.
Yeah, so even the book itself, I never imagined so I just want to say for aspiring writers out there, it wasn't something that I had a dream to write a book. I just woke up one morning and heard I was supposed to write my book and share my story, that my story was going to help others. And I actually had resistance because I have 4 kids. Like, I have no time to write a book. But anyways, long story short, I ended up writing this book in 3 months. And there's basically all of the topics that are in the book are things that either from my own life that I've learned or with working with clients around the world. And it just was one of those things where I wanted to provide a book that provided strategies that was really hands-on that people can take away. It's 85 pages, so you can literally read the book in less than 2 hours in a day and start applying the principles immediately, down to looking at your life. What was your childhood like? What are the things that you're doing now or not doing now that you used to do as a child that used to bring you joy? Because we get so busy as we grow up, as we become adults, lots of times we lose that sense of joy and that sense of just pure passion and excitement and wonder for the world. So what can we do now today that, we can bring back into our life that we used to do that used to make us happy? For me, it was a lot about being in nature, being outside, hiking. I started working and then I'd be in an office environment all the time. That was something that made me, really feel like I was in balance and really feel like I was giving my best self to everybody that I met. And that's another thing. What can you do? How can you make somebody's lives better in some way, shape, or form? And taking a look at who you surround yourself with and noticing, people, if they're, bringing you up, if you feel more energized when you're around them, or do you feel more depleted, is another way of looking at, how are you living your purpose? And then also looking at other areas of your life, such as, various things like even just affirmations that we have, the words that we say, our mindset. What are those things that we're going through our minds each and every day? Taking a list, taking 24 or 48 hours to write down your thoughts and notice, which are the positive and negative thoughts, and simply just observing without judgment. And this is key here. We judge ourselves. We're so critical of ourselves all the time. Just if we can take a step back from a higher perspective, as if we're going up in an airplane, we go through the clouds sometimes where it's a little dark. For me, that was my moment when I got sick. didn't really know what I was going to do. My life was basically starting over. I had to relearn how to basically show up in the world in a completely different way, which is more vulnerable and authentic. But once we keep going, we keep rising higher and higher through those clouds, eventually we get back to the light. We get back to who we are. We have a higher perspective. We can look down on our life and look at things from a different perspective. And that's extremely powerful, as leaders, as parents, as friends, as coworkers, as leaders, as presidents of countries, whoever you are. Just having that higher perspective really helps us bring us back into reality of what really matters, what is the meaning of why we're here. It's not just about one purpose, but how can we live each and every moment of every day with a greater meaningful purpose is what this is more about than just, okay, let's read the book and find my one purpose in life. That's not what the book is about. It's about how can we find that more meaningful purpose in every situation, every moment of the day, no matter who it is who we're talking to, whether it's us having this conversation here today or whether you're in a grocery store talking to a grocery attendant, right? You might have the possibility or infinite possibility to bring purpose into their life, into their day, just by smiling or asking them, how are you doing? That maybe nobody has asked them that before. So it's the little things that we do that make the biggest difference.
Right. So basically, in other words, it's kind of like looking at things like what you say is relearning. It's kind of dropping and kind of stop looking at things from external push and coming from within. That's like a whole new way of looking at things. That's like tough, right?
Absolutely. And it's not easy. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking here from experience because I lived, I would say 24 years of my life from age 4 when I decided to repress all the gifts I had been given and all the things that I knew I was here for because I didn't want to be different. And I think this is a huge part. We all want to fit in. A sense of belongingness is one of the basic needs outside of food, shelter, and clothing in our world.
Yeah.
So if we feel different in any way, shape, or form, which is how I felt even at 4 years old, I chose to, and I saw this later on when I was sick in meditation and prayer, that I chose to repress those parts of me. And it wasn't until when I got sick, and we don't have to go through tragedy in order to find our purpose either. I want to make sure just because that's how I found my purpose, it doesn't mean that you have to go through some rock bottom moment in your life in order to have purpose. It's about getting clear, taking time out for yourself in silence to just listen and understand what exactly makes you happy. What are your mission? What is your mission? What are your values, your morals, things that make you tick, that are important for you, and create your own mission statement for your life, not just your business, but for you personally. And everything that comes into your life, you go back and you check to your personal missional statement and you say, okay, so for mine is, being humble is something that's very important. So, okay, if this is a situation that's going to allow me to be humble, I'll check that off my list and just go down the list of the things that make you feel like you're most important in life.
I'm going to go back a little bit. I'm not sure if I heard this correctly, but you said that you woke up one day and you heard that you're writing a book.
Yeah. So
what does that mean?
So I'm
very interested in that.
Yeah, no, of course. Thank you for asking that. So I have a very strong intuition and certain things I've had. That was one of the gifts that I've been given. Even when I was 4 years old, I would just know things or I would hear things and I would not quite understand exactly what it was. So I just heard a voice in my head. For me, it's God, other people, it's the universe, whatever you believe in, that I just heard, you need to write this book. And it kept over and over again. And I swear, Nina, it was like 100 times over and over again. And it was one of those things that, I don't know if you've ever had that before, that happened to you where it keeps coming up and coming up and coming up. And it's like almost this annoyance, this little annoyance.
Yeah.
Like
there's this background noise going on. Yeah.
And it kept coming up for me. And I couldn't get rid of it. And I was like, no, I'm not writing a book. I kind of laughed at it. No, that's not going to happen. And anyways, and it's a big, long story. I ended up going on Facebook. There was somebody looking to help you write a book. And I didn't even have a topic for the book. So 2 weeks later, I worked with about 50 people. I'm not even kidding you here. Every single person I talked to over that course of 2 weeks, probably about 50 different people from around the world asked me the same question. I'm feeling stuck. I don't know what I want out of life. And I don't know what my purpose is. Can you help me? Can you help me? Can you help me? And that's how the story of the book came about, was simply from real life problems that people are going through and experiences. And okay, I think I can write a book on this. I've kind of gone through this. So I'd love to, be able to help people. And it's not about me. It's not about me being in the spotlight. It's literally all the people I can help through the message and speaking truth out into the world.
Okay, Ami, do you have any questions? Because we hear this all the time. I don't know if our audience hear this because it sounds very familiar, like Elizabeth Gilbert's book, kind of thing. I totally understand what you're saying, because I hear it, I see it, I know people like it. Sometimes I get it too. It's not consistent.
Yeah. I think the one question I'm always curious to know is that what's stopping people to actually know what is it that they wanted in life? There's a one questions that I always wonder, because even today I spoke to a few individuals, because one of the things I also do is to coach people as well, and to understand what would be their purpose in life, or what is their purpose in doing whatever they want to do, right? And it's very interesting to know that whenever we ask this question, what do you want, there's this long hesitations that you can actually there's this long pause, right? So what is it that's stopping people from actually knowing what they want? Do you have a solution to this, or do you have a view on this?
Sometimes I feel like strangling people when they can't answer.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
Come on, just decide. Just decide, right? That's
Yeah, that's a really long question, but a short answer to that would be, knowing what you want and actually doing what you want are two completely different things, because most people have, somewhat of an idea. You might not have, complete clarity on what that looks like, but most people have, some idea of what they want to do, what makes them happy. The number one thing that causes people to go away from what they really want is fear. So they fear that. And I want to challenge everybody. We've heard of, the acronym of fear before, facing everything and running, whatever that is. But I want to challenge everybody to think of that differently and look at it as facing everything and rising. So moving towards, the more we can look at things and boldly move towards that, the only ways that we truly get over our fear is running towards it as fast as we can and dealing with it head on and facing those fears, getting out of our comfort zone, doing something out of your comfort zone every day, even if it's just trying a new food, even if it's, phoning somebody, whether that's, telling them you're grateful for their friendship, or, talking to a business partner. It can be those little things that we do that make us and force us to step out of our comfort zone, that allows us to move forward in ways that we could never imagine. If you were to ask me even 5 or even 10 years ago if this is what I would be doing, there's not even an ounce in my body that would have said yes. Not even this much. But there's certain things that came up that I'm like, oh, I have to do this. Again, it's not about me. I used to be the shyest child growing up and hated the center of attention. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that too, because I know there's a lot of people, fear of public speaking is one of the number one. Fear of public speaking, fear of snakes, and fear of spiders are the top 3 fears in our world.
Yep.
Public speaking was my number one fear growing up. I would literally, the teacher would ask me a question at school and I would sit there with a blank look on my face, horrified, and I wouldn't say anything because I was literally shaking in terror because I was scared of saying the wrong thing, scared of people judging me, scared of all these other things, these lots of times imaginary things, illusions that we make up inside our mind that aren't even real. So really just, again, going from that higher perspective, looking down and looking at even just speaking, using that as an example, it's not about necessarily people looking at you or judging you. It's about how can you speak from your heart and be real, be vulnerable, be authentic, so that people can relate to you and know that you're a real person too, right? And not I believe that nobody should put people on pedestals. I used to do that too, but let's all be one. Let's all be at the same level. There's no need for competition. There's more than enough for every single person out there listening to this in our world that, let's get rid of that. Let's break that stigma of competition once and for all.
Love it. I think we're absolutely in line with that. I mean, you have a question because you sound like
I'm just going to bring Jeff out because he's been posting a lot. And
I know Jeff Newman. I think he's a friend of yours. Yeah.
So most people cannot be clear as to what they want. Most people know what they want. It's quite interesting that he actually have a question.
What makes your heart sing?
What makes your heart sing?
What makes my heart sing? I just actually honestly love helping people. And the more I can help people, the more I can make a difference in the world. And I just love seeing, people coming to me asking for help with certain things in their business, their life, and seeing the ability that, we have as individuals, speaking from my own point of view, but anybody here listening, how we have the ability to change lives through the words that we speak and the things that we do in each and every moment of our day, even if it's just 5 minutes that you're working with somebody. Seeing people's lives transformed is literally what sets my heart on fire, as well as so many other things.
It's powerful that you're very clear about it, but in terms of helping people to get to that, what's the process like, right? Is there a process to this?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Is there a way for people to
So
understand?
how do you help people find their purpose easily and effortlessly without going down, and we're trained by movies to suffer, and especially we watch telenovela, especially the South American one or the Asian and the Indian ones. We're designed to attract drama because we've been programmed. So how do we do this easily, effortlessly without, obligating drama and going down in the dumps?
Absolutely. And we're all on our own journeys. So it's very difficult to generalize that particular question because everybody's on a different level of, where they're at on their journey. Some people are just getting started. So some people, are just in the awareness stage where they're getting used to, okay, there's an awareness. Okay, there's things that I can do differently, even if it's just thinking different thoughts. Other people have been doing work for years in meditation and prayer and, are able to work through that quicker. So it depends on where you're at and where you're wanting to go. And I would say the biggest thing is, having that awareness of where you want to go, what you're looking for, and your why. Knowing your why of why you're doing something is one of the biggest things that people overlook in our world. Like, why are you doing what you're doing? Because that's going to be your motivation. It's not money, it's not fame, it's not fortune, it's not all these other external things. It's literally, what is your why? Like, what is inside of you that helps you move towards that? And with people, sometimes they forget about, what that really is and what that is, and they get caught up in the societal norms of how things should be versus how they really want it or how they feel that is right for them, right? And they lose track of that. So I would say awareness is the first step to moving towards your purpose, and then also once you're aware, then moving towards taking action every day towards that. Because again, you can think about it all day long, but if you take no action, you're never going to get there. So taking one, 2 or 3 things of small baby steps every day towards that, knowing that it's not going to happen overnight, and that's okay, because sometimes we will go, we will be going up and all of a sudden we'll get knocked down on our journey. And it's kind of like we're going, remember on like the NASDAQ or the different types of stock exchange, sometimes you see companies going up and down, but gradually they go up, but there is those peaks and those valleys along the way. So making this to be completely real, sometimes we do have those lower moments, but sometimes we have to deal with certain things that are more difficult in our life to get to the more, areas where we really want to be, and knowing that that's okay, and not judging yourself for going through these moments, because we all have them, no matter who we are. We have good days, we have bad days, no matter who you are right now in the world. We're dealing with some sort of mental health and issues in our world. So we just need to, honor the parts of where we're at in that journey and move toward taking action each and every day, whether that's just one step forward. Just continue to move forward, not go backward, not allow that spiraling downward of fear and other things and illusions, and focusing on the things from our past that brought us down, because that's where depression comes in, or worrying about the fear of the unknown of the future, because that's where anxiety creeps in. And literally being present right here, right now, right here in this moment, and allowing peace and just contentment and joy to exude in every area, every conversation that you have with people.
Oh my God, that's just so impactful there. So to summarize that, basically what you're saying is being aware, know your why, and taking action one step at a time, because it's a journey, right? It's taking one step at a time, and not to live in the past because or to live in the future, because that's where anxiety is, right? When we get anxious and stuff like that kind of thing. Wow, amazing. Thank you. I mean, you have something to add?
I'm okay. Just to be conscious of the time, because we only have like a few more minutes with her.
Yeah, got it. I think you answered this, but Pankaj just joined us, and he actually asked, can leaders actually have multiple callings or purposes? Like, could we have a big one and then a tiny one?
Oh, absolutely. And I believe if you look at your passions, you look at those things that bring you your joy, we can have many passions. You might have one really big mission of saying that you want to transform millions of people in the world. So, okay, that's maybe your one big purpose, but there's many things that, that align underneath that one purpose to get you to your ultimate, purpose or mission in life. And those little things are the things that we're talking about taking action towards every day. those are, the things that bring you joy, the things that make you, know that you're here for a reason, and the things that you can work on moving towards, and the smaller things that compounded together add up to, moving towards a greater purpose. So focus on the little things, focus on those things that you can bring in. And it might be, okay, public speaking isn't necessarily your purpose, but maybe it's talking to youth, or talking to, children in between ages 8 and 10 years old around leadership. And you might be able to bring that into your practice, and also focus on other areas that might, be able to come in to teach them how to also move towards that. And at the same time, you're fulfilling your purpose. So there's many things that you can bring in. So to answer your question, yes, there's not just one purpose. There's a bunch of things that you can bring in that bring meaningful purpose, not only to your life, but also to others. And when you're serving others, you're also fulfilling your purpose. So there's a win-win for everybody involved.
Right. So the purpose has to be not just for us, but for others as well. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. How does the healing come in, and does everyone need healing?
I believe, and this is my own personal opinion around this, I believe there's not one person on this entire planet that doesn't need something, or some sort of awareness around healing from something that's happened in their past, whether that's trauma, whether that's abuse, whether that's bullying, maybe a comment that somebody said that might have hurt your feelings years ago, or it could have just been yesterday. Like, there's constantly things that we're bombarded with, society, the illusions of how things need to be, news, media, movies, songs, all of these things that a lot of times are overlooked in our world.
Yep. Could you share maybe some examples of some people that you've worked with that you are allowed to share, and the results that they've had with the healing, and how that has impacted their lives and the things they want to achieve, or their purpose and the difference they make in the world? Because sometimes we're not aware, right, that healing can have such powerful results, especially we have a lot of limiting beliefs.
Yeah, exactly. So just going back to limiting beliefs, I had a client, I have many clients, like thousands of them now I could talk about, but having this one pop in my mind for some reason. He had a limiting belief of he's not good enough. And he also had a money block, which was to do with if you have a lot of money, you're considered to be bad in some way, shape, or form. So this is a belief system that he had. So he got to, I forget the number that he was making per year, but it wasn't even close to his actual amount that he wanted to make. But he had set this limit, this unconscious, so this is a very deep, sometimes subconscious limit of what he felt he was worth in his job, in his life. And that was the maximum that he could make, no matter how hard he worked, no matter how many clients he brought in. It seemed to always tap out there. He would spend money to make sure that he didn't make more than that amount. We worked through the blocks. We worked through some healing, some trauma, some abuse that had happened in childhood, cleared all of that away. And then all of a sudden, he was limited to I'm in Canada. He worked in Canada here, limited to just working in our country. We worked through the blocks, and he now makes millions of dollars and is working globally with people all over the world. So it's
That's amazing.
Yes. So don't underestimate the power of beliefs. I'm not good enough is the biggest block towards anybody, leaders, no matter who you are, and not achieving your goals and living your dreams and your purpose.
Love it. You want to know why that story stood out?
Why is that?
Because in here, we see so many of our students, and the repeating patterns that they keep saying is, I'm not good enough. And we can tell from their posts. So we have to go back and work with them on that. From their postings, we can tell.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I'm curious to know your point of view on this, right, Nadene? What's the cause of this conversation? How do we develop this? All right. Maybe because if we know how to do this, how this happened, is there a way for us to not do this to our kids, to our children as well, right? So I'm just curious to know your point of view in this. How do we actually develop this as we're growing up?
Yeah, so it can be so many different things, right? It can be, so I'll give you an example. So anger, I'm just going to use this emotion because we all feel anger. Anger is a natural emotion that we all have at some point in our lives. If something happens, somebody triggers us, and it causes some sort of anger feeling. So anytime we feel triggered by something, this is just something how to deal with it. It's some sort of, use that as a trigger for, there's some sort of, area in your life that you haven't looked at that you probably have repressed. So look at it as a blessing if somebody does trigger you versus a curse. And just using anger as an example, so it's not just anger, it's what is underneath the anger. So we're getting to the root of what's actually causing the anger in the first place. There's three things usually that I've seen, again, from my own experience, why people experience anger in the first place. It's usually because in childhood, some sort of in their past that they weren't seen, they weren't valued, or they weren't heard. And those are the three underlying, in most people, most things where blocks are created. So when you're working with children, and if you have children, which a lot of us do, trying to focus on, that they're seen, they're valued, and they're heard. And if we can get to, and no parent is perfect. I'm not, I want to let go of that perfectionism, because none of us are going to be perfect parents. All of our kids are going to end up with some sort of blocks in some way, shape, or form when they get older. So we need to let that go. First of all, I wanted to make sure and mention that. But as best you can, right? We do the best we can as parents to create that safety for them, that they do feel seen, feel valued, and they are heard.
Okay, I'm just gonna say it there. I mean, so your kids we're gonna have to send your kids to Nadene for healing. That's what.
So in Nina's case, whenever she gets triggered,
it's a blessing.
Something that she's
yeah. I know that. I know that. I love it when I get triggered, because I know it's something that I need to work on. Of course, I still have my tantrums and my whatnot, because I gotta go through the feelings.
As we all do, right? We're all human.
And I love it, because I always have my tantrum to him, and he's like, so I get my attention.
But that's a good point, though. So how should we deal with this? So whenever we get triggered, right? Is there a more productive way to deal with the situation?
I always say,
Good one.
First, look at your part in that, whatever that situation or conversation that's going on, and look at your part. Go deeper into yourself and ask questions. Sit with that, meditate around it, pray about it. Spend that time in silence just about that situation. And it's amazing what will be revealed to you and what part you're playing in that, or maybe part from your past that you haven't, again, quote unquote, healed from or let go of, or, there's many different terminologies of how you want to look at that. To me, it's just, okay, let's let go of the blocks from our past so that we can be as open and vulnerable and authentic as we can in any of our future relationships, business partners, whoever that is, with clients, with our kids, with all of our relationships, because it's all connected. Whether what happens at home in our family life is connected to how we show up as leaders in our organization. So I would say deal with it by going inward, focusing on the things that how you can change yourself instead of blaming and pointing fingers at the other person that you're talking to. Let's look at ourselves and say, okay, what can I honor? What are the things that I can do differently? How can I show up? Even just the whole idea of using, I feel something versus you are, is something really powerful that we can bring into our life. And affirmations are great, but lots of times, say I'm not good enough is the number one belief. We turn it around and say I am good enough. But if you still believe you're not good enough, that affirmation is worthless. So I always say get rid of affirmations, because they really don't work, and turn it into a question. How is it that I am somebody of worth and value, and all my relationships are honored and respected in every circumstances that come my way? Something like that is so much more powerful than I am good enough, or I am, just that simple question.
No, that's quite controversial, because a lot of people believe in the power of affirmation. What do you have to say to that?
Yeah, and I think affirmations are good. It just depends on where you're at in your life, because lots of times we have those subconscious beliefs that are opposing to the affirmations that we keep saying to ourselves. So if you've healed, say, for example, going back to I'm good enough, if you really feel like you're still not good enough and you're saying I'm good enough, you're going to do no good. But if you've healed that part of you, that belief that now believes you're good enough, then you'll expand that I am good enough, and open opportunities and open doors. So I think it depends on where you're at and what again, your subconscious and the areas that you've worked on, and how much you've dealt with that in the past, and how effective that affirmation would be.
I'm curious to know, in terms of the work that you do, is there an example of the people that you actually work with, and what do you do with them, and what kind of results you actually manage to get from them?
Yeah, so there's like even just using I'll go back to I'll use a lady that I was dealing with, and this is more related to weight loss, because a lot of us deal with health issues and wellness and things in our life. So she was struggling with weight in her life, that she said, I've tried everything, I've done every diet, I've done everything out there, I've gone on, whatever type of diets. She's gone on 10 or 20 different ones, and she said, I always gain the weight back. Can you help me work through this? And I said, okay, let's take a look, let's go deeper. Okay, tell me, where on your body are you gaining weight? And this is just an example. So there's a certain part. So she said, well, I always gain it. This is very common around my midline, right? Around my stomach, around my hips, buttocks, those kind of areas. And that's the area of our body that's a protective mechanism around some hurt or trauma that's happened in the past. So that's if you
Wow.
there's always a connection to our body, the way our body shows up, whether it's illness, whether it's pain, whether it's where you're gaining weight, of something that's underlying as to why you were, in this example, gaining weight. It can be why you're not getting clients. It can be why you're not making the money that you want. It can be, why you're not reaching as many people as you'd like to reach in your message. It can be, you can relate it to anything. It all goes down to beliefs. It goes down to what's underlying, what is the root of that. So for her, it was to do with abuse and things that had happened that she hadn't healed. So we went through and went back into that. Okay, let's focus on how we can move forward from that, letting go of everything from our past, and let's move forward to creating steps and creating change, changing our mindset, changing the way we think, focusing on body image and looking at different things. And she actually, the very first month we worked together, she hadn't lost any weight in years, and she'd gain it back, and she lost 10 pounds just in the first month of working together, and she continued to get healthier and healthier in areas. Again, it goes back to the asking of the question. This is a question that we formulated that worked with her, and I'll share it with you guys for your audience here, because it's very powerful.
That would be really good. Yeah,
she wanted to be in shape, right? And somebody who is healthy, mind, body, soul kind of connection. So we created this connection of how is it that I have a healthy body, a healthy weight, and of muscular tone of that of an Olympic gold athlete, was the question that we asked. And just that alone, your body starts to show up in ways. You start eating better, you start exercising more without having the pressure of an actual diet itself. So it's amazing the power of our mind and how we phrase things, when we ask a question like that, it'll automatically go towards that. Again, in any area of your life, not just to do with this, in business and life, in relationships, whatever that is, you can apply it in every area.
Okay, that's fantastic. What about, because we have like some students who are kind of concerned with competition kind of thing. So I'm just wondering, when we talk about competition, is that to do with a certain fear or something that was not handled, earlier? And how do we see things from abundance? Just wondering. What's your take on this?
So when I see competition, I always look at it as some sort of worth issue, that it's like not worthy, not feeling worthy enough, and comparing yourself because you're not that person. If you look at that person, when you see a person who's really successful, say they're on TV, they're doing this, they're doing that, they're helping.
Damn it, yeah.
You automatically associate, I could never do that. I'm not good enough to do that, or I'm not worthy enough to do that. So it's our sense of worth when we compare ourselves to other people who are doing more than. So if you saw somebody successful and you're legitimately happy for them, and you're like happy for their success, that you've dealt with your worth issues, because you're now happy, legitimately, grateful for their success.
Right. Okay.
Success for them, versus looking at it as a mirror to you, as I'm not good enough because they're doing really good. If they're doing really good, that's great. That's a mirror to me when I've dealt with my worthiness issues, that I can also be that. Because if you take a moment to think of your number one leader or number one person in your life who's inspired you, look at the qualities that are in them, and they also are in you. They just haven't
definitely
yet. They're still laying dormant. So just looking at that.
All right. So it's actually worthiness. Okay, got it. That's so cute. But
I am just going to cut that part, and I'm going to do a special video of this. I'm just going to send this to Nina.
Good job. No. I'm talking about somebody. So hang on. Anyway, I'm working with my issues. So it's basically worthiness, right? But what if that person seems super confident and stuff like that, but it's not, right? Under there's still that worthiness issue, right?
So I would say if you're appearing confident and underneath you're still in a lot of, suffering, pain, comparisons, there's masks, invisible masks that are being worn. And like the facade of the illusion of appearing a certain way in society versus actually just showing up who you are and knowing that you're loved, that you're cared for, that you're worthy just for who you are. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to prove anything. Just by showing up, being who you are, speaking from your heart, being real is what you need to focus on more so than what other people think and the judgments that are out there. Because when you're being yourself, when you're truly being yourself, people are going to love you just the way you are, no matter what that is.
That's awesome. Okay, we've got 8 minutes left. So, I mean, what's your question?
I have one question to this.
Okay.
How do you know that you're being true to yourself? How do you
good
know?
one. Because some people can't even answer why. They answer politically correct answers. So how do we know when we're being authentic and real and true to ourselves?
So I would say, like, my biggest thing for myself when I was going through the whole, again, I went through 24 years of my life where I kind of lived, and I'm going to use the term like almost a lie because it was what everybody else wanted for me. And it was a sense of uneasiness that I was going through, and I just felt something was off, like something didn't feel right. And as soon as I started stepping into all of who I was and becoming more authentic, more real, more vulnerable, I just had this innate sense of peace in every part of my body that just felt right. It felt good. It felt humble. It felt like I was being compassionate, not only towards myself, but towards other people. So compassion and peace, I would say for me personally, from my own experience, is what shows me when I'm speaking, when I'm being authentic, when I'm being real. And I just know that there's not things that are being hidden, that I'm just speaking and allowing things to be channeled through me. It's not like I write notes. Like I have notes here too. I haven't looked at my notes once, even though every interview that I do, I always make notes. I have in my mind kind of the things I want to say, but I allow things to flow, and I don't put expectations or outcomes on conversations, on even things that I think I want to happen. I leave the opportunity, I leave that glass ceiling open, break that glass ceiling to allow for infinite possibilities in our life to really have no limits. Because when we set limits on them, many times there's so much more out there that we're meant to experience, that when we set the limits on them, it's limiting ourselves, right? It's not just limiting ourselves, it's also limiting the potential of all the other people that you can help out there in our world.
Right. That sounds fantastic. I mean, any questions?
Yes, I would like to know more about the share your gift with the world. What do you mean by that? Actually?
That's so good. Also, what are some of the unique ways you've encountered leaders who have shared their gifts, which is like, not very common?
Yeah, so share your gifts with the world. That part came from my own experience of the 24 years that I didn't share my gifts with the world. And then stepping into the whole idea of, okay, you know what, I'm just going to be who I am. I am somebody who's connected, somebody who's very intuitive, somebody who is very heart-centered, somebody who cares about people, somebody who's very humble. And I try to always do my best. I don't strive for perfectionism anymore. I used to do that. That was extremely stressful for me and everybody else around me. So now I say, instead of that, let's strive towards doing our best in every situation that we do. And as long as we've done our best, this is huge. Yeah. Living our life with no regrets. So looking at every decision that comes into your life and checking it, thinking about, 20, 30, even 40, 50 years, while you're on your deathbed and looking back, would I regret saying no to this? Would I regret saying yes to this? And if you ever have any regrets, any doubt whatsoever, I would say you need to move away from that, and you need to leave that opportunity, that relationship, that whatever it is, for somebody else and let go of it. So it's literally about living your life with greater. And sorry, Nina, what was your second part to the question?
Do you have any unique ways you have encountered leaders who have shared their gifts?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. There's been so many. And I would go back, because a lot of time communication is, I believe, one of our greatest assets that we can bring to the table as leaders, is be able to learn how to effectively communicate. And again, I'm going to go back to this again over and over again, from the heart, and being authentic, being vulnerable. And I could hundreds of examples of teaching leaders to communicate more effectively to their team when they do speaking engagements, using stories. Storytelling is a huge thing. Can we bring stories into our speaking when we're talking about things? I just want to talk this just briefly, if I can tell a quick story about this.
Yes, please.
So yeah, it's an old fable, and it's something that I always have in the back of my mind, no matter anytime I speak or anytime I'm working with clients is it's about 3 bricklayers. Some of you might have heard it. They're all working on the same wall, laying bricks. Someone asks them, what are you doing? And the first one says, I'm laying bricks. And the second bricklayer says, gets asked and they reply, I'm building a wall. Then the third bricklayer comes along and they reply, and to something completely different. They say, I'm building a great cathedral for God. So this is a whole idea of the perception of what we have about doing the same tasks and how we bring, that to the table, and our purpose of how the daily tasks of laying the brick becomes a broader perspective and purpose to that third bricklayer versus the first bricklayer. So let's bring that perspective into no matter what we do from a higher perspective. Look at, how can I serve a meaningful purpose in what I'm doing, whether it's laying bricks, whether it's conversations with other people, whether it's giving a talk in front of millions of people, whether it's relating to your children, because they really wanted to eat their ice cream before their lunch someday, and just bringing this into every part of what we do, every relationship, every conversation, and really, again, going back to communicating from the heart and communicating with that meaningful purpose and bringing our life experiences, being real, vulnerable, sharing the things that we've struggled with most, and allowing us to be real so other people can also be real. And we can open the doors to trust, because so many people don't trust right now. We really want to focus on bringing together human connections in our world that have been brought apart in so many different ways.
Wow. Yeah. I think that's amazing. 2 minutes left. Last 2 questions.
I think last 2 questions, right? So let's just say for the people out there that they kind of know they have a passion and they want to do this, where should they start? Is there any advice you would give to them? Is there a strategy, a process? What would be your advice to them?
Yeah, what's your advice to get someone started?
So I would say make the choice to take action to start doing something different would be my number one thing. Do something different. Don't, the whole idea of, I forget the saying, is like when you do something over and over again, that's the definition of insanity. So let's try choosing something different that, maybe you've never tried before that might be outside your comfort zone. Then do that one thing every day, do something different every day, step out of your comfort zone and let go of fear, come back to love and come back to honoring yourself and your worth of who you are and knowing that you are enough.
Okay. And I've got one more question. When you say come back to love, what do you mean by love? Because I think everybody sort of understands love, but they don't get it. And it's not instilled in us. So how important is love? Because you wrote another book on that. So yeah, what can you share with us about love?
I did. And I would say love for yourself first. Because if we don't love ourselves first, we can't truly give that love out to the world, to other people. So focusing on, what can you do for yourself every day? Like, how can you bring in self-care? Again, taking time for yourself. For me, again, this is a strategy. Morning routine is the number one thing that I can say. And this is one of the top leaders, Fortune 500 leaders in the world. This is one of the number one things that they do is create a morning routine. For me, it consists of waking up, morning prayer, meditation, exercise, and learning something new. And it can take 10 minutes or it can take an hour or 2 hours, however much time you do. But if you do that, bring that into your daily practice, that has the power to change your life unlike anything else, because the things that you see and the awareness that you get of even just, what is your purpose for today? It doesn't have to be what's your purpose for this week, this year, this decade, your life. What is it today? And let's focus on that. Let's focus on what's your purpose for today. And then once we do that, that's your one step. Move towards that and boldly take action towards your dreams, because you have the power within you to be and do all that you desire, all you've dreamed of, beyond your wildest dreams.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. One last question, Nadene, what's next for you?
So I'm continuing to grow and expand every day. So everything that I teach you today, I'm actually applying in my own life. I'm constantly stepping out of my comfort zone. So many things I'm working on, expanding my message globally, working on different programs, wellness program right now, writing another book on PTSD, helping people with hope and inspiration. So my name, Nadene, means hope. Joy is my middle name. Everybody asks, oh my gosh, you have the best last name. So it's actually my middle name. So that's my mission, is to bring greater hope and joy to millions of people around the world.
Amazing. Love it. Love it. Love it. Amazing. Thank you so much.
So guys, for those of you who wants to connect with Nadene, right? She has a LinkedIn account, right? Follow her on LinkedIn.
That's
good stuff.
Nadene Joy.
Nadene Joy. Yes.
All right. Nadene, thank you so much. We are 1 minute off track, but thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're so
Thank you so
honored.
much.
Thank you so much
So
for
honored.
sharing.
So
Yeah.
much. Enjoy your holiday.
Yes. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Bye.
Bye.
All right,
was
that was
good.
amazing. Amazing. Oh, Azlina's in the house. Jeff, thank you for tuning in from New Jersey. Yay. Okay. So Azlina is saying strive for everyday progression. Yes. Not someday perfection. We are all progressionists instead of perfectionists. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, anybody child of the 80s and 70s and 90s who were like Asian parent perfectionists. You're
Yeah.
a progressionist. Okay. So we need to re-unwire Reka. Reka's in the house. So what was your biggest learning, guys, that you got from this day? Please share with us. I mean, what's your biggest learning? What's your biggest takeaway?
So whenever people are triggered, I'll just go to them and say, you have a worthiness issue that you need to handle. And then
No,
just-
only if they're triggered by competition. That's a worthiness thing. Other things you're triggering when you're triggered by things, it's a blessing. But I always kind of knew
You
that.
can just go to them and say, bro, there's something you need to handle. Bye.
Oh my God, some people even get triggered by you saying that, it's like, oh, maybe that's a limiting belief, and then they're like triggered and you're like, what? You know what I mean? Okay, so that's one. For me, it's like, I mean, no matter what you do, your kids are going to need healing. Sorry.
Everyone does. Everyone does.
No
That's
matter
the-
how
guys,
hard we try, yes. So that's true. That's what I learned.
you go through a lot of shit every day. That's the
Fine.
thing.
That
You-
means I
you
need
need
to
to
send
heal.
my kids for healing. Yeah.
Everyone needs to heal. Okay.
Yes. Definitely agree with you. But yeah, the competition's about worthiness. That's very interesting. And also that was something else that she said. I love that she said that she heard this voice that she was meant to write a book. Amazing. I'm gonna wait for voices.
Exactly.
Okay, I this one is amazing. Why is it that when a Western says that, it doesn't sound scary, but then when a Malay says it, ooh, the shaitan is speaking to you. We gotta stop thinking about this the wrong way. It could be a guidance, right? A book, because let's face it, her book is what, top 5-star seller or something like that. Yeah. So we gotta shift this conversation that is, something weird asking you to write. So, but then again, I love Bercakap dengan Jin, and I read that like hardcore growing up.
Do you know he already passed away, right? The author of that?
Are you kidding? I cried. I was following him.
Yeah.
I'm in touch. I wanted to make his his books into like a trilogy of films like The Mummy.
And I didn't realize that it's actually like my neighbor. He's just like staying in Kota Damansara as well.
The hell? Oh yeah,
He's
he was. He was. Yeah.
So I'm like,
Okay, so yeah.
interesting
So yeah,
story.
so love that. That's part of my learning, biggest takeaway. And I think if you're it's about unlearning and living your true purpose. And you guys ask us why, we ask you about your why. Now you know. Yeah?
You want to become business influencer, it's a whole package, guys.
Yeah, it's a whole
Character,
package. Know your why. Okay.
Right?
All right.
It's not just about learning LinkedIn, it's the whole entire thing. Everything.
Correct. Okay, cool. Now, let's just go through quickly what's happening in Pop Converse this week, next week. This week finish already, so it's next week. So on Monday, we're going to be talking to Tila Supaya on Authority on LinkedIn group on how she rose like a phoenix from the ashes after her world fell apart. Don't forget, she lost a job during the pandemic, and now she's found herself. She's even more confident. She positioned herself as a consultant, right? HR consultant. And then
she's doing a lot of good stuff now.
And she managed to negotiate that she can still do her speaking gigs and and to empower the world.
She even just started her own YouTube channel, which is quite cool.
Yeah, amazing. And she's getting
amazing
more
stuff.
confident. She's doing what Nadine says, one step at a time, every single day, that sort of thing. So next, we're going to be looking next week, if you're copying from the internet, just like I did, I took the Gillette video and put it up today. Am I getting into trouble? I don't know. All this is going to be answered next week with Geeta, ASEAN IP expert. And then on Monday, we're back to a training where we're going to be talking about LinkedIn, why now. We're going to bust those beliefs that you guys probably have that LinkedIn is for old people. LinkedIn is boring and constipated. LinkedIn is a resume dumping site. It is so much more than that. And you could be making sales worth $1 million like our students. Next, we're going to be looking at, we're going to be talking about e-commerce with Sharon Go. Sharon Go is amazing. She's hilarious. I think it's going to be another epic episode. She had her own IT firm, and then she went into digital transformation, branding, and then suddenly e-commerce. How the heck did she get there? We got to look into this, okay?
So if you guys are planning to have your own product online, come for this one.
Yes, definitely.
Come for this one.
All right. So, and this is happening during Blunt Process. So we're looking at 9:00, and then we're going back to training. What is this training? Simple ways
to get your lead to convert.
Yes, the likes and numbers are blocking me, so I cannot read. So that's Monday, 26th April, and then we're gonna look into. This is gonna be our last episode for the season before we take a break. And this is okay. I mean, I'm gonna let you talk because this is. If you can, please share to the whole world about this because I think her message is gonna be amazing and powerful.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. I found her a few years ago through a YouTube video where she was presenting one of the Toastmasters.
That video went viral, by the way.
The video went viral because she's talking about how Malaysian English is unique, right?
Yes.
I love her energy when she did the presentation. But what I really love the most about her is that she's inspiring people to just speak, right?
And she's also done a TED Talk. Her TED Talk is one of the most viewed TED Talks in the world. Okay. And she actually says the video that went viral that Amin was talking about, English or local English. That was the video that went viral. So, and she actually says both. Can you imagine Ahmad Saleh saying Malaysian English is okay, English is also okay, and why should it be okay? Amazing. So I love her message, and I think if the whole of Malaysia can watch, it'll be amazing. So please make sure you share that out to the whole world because we're gonna be making a difference. You know, and yes, she is living her true purpose. I think, I mean,
yes,
I absolutely think so. And she's
I'm so looking forward to that episode. She's just amazing.
She's amazing. I love her. I met her, and I'm like sold. So everybody, your mother, your grandmother, your 3 weeks old nephew who's not out yet. Make sure everybody comes and watch because it'll be recorded in the subconscious, right? Okay. All right. So thank you so much for watching. We hope you had a lot of fun in today's episode. We hope you know or you're about to figure out your purpose. I mean, are you sure you know your purpose?
Well, it will always evolve. Right now, I do.
Yeah, but she said we can have a few, so it's okay.
Yeah. At this moment, I'm very clear.
We've always been around making a difference to people anyway, right? So as opposed to making a sale to people, you know, like certain trainings. It's because I want to promote my company. Yeah, something like that. Just saying. Anyway, that's that. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you had an epic.
And I thought Nina just handle her stuff. You know what? Go and meditate again. Go back.
No, I just want to be like that. So what? It's fun. I love it. Okay. So thank you so
guys.
much. You tune in next week. We'll see you. Love you. Mwah, 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 and have a great night.
Have a great night. Have a great weekend.
Bye.
You've been popcorn. Bye.
Popcorn.